What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for moving feast on Cradle of Death. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Cradle of Death is the map where constructs guard specific points that we must destroy. These constructs are invincible unless we bring a truck nearby to make them vulnerable. Then we destroy them and both players need to move the trucks in the beacons to destroy the objectives. All commands cost resources. Enemies set fire to the ground upon death.
This mutation is really easy but pretty annoying. Your primary loss conditions will be if you run out of time. You won't really be broken. The most likely scenario of that happening is when your ally's truck is on one ramp where you don't have defenses and they have Zerglings running in and then destroy your ally's base. That's probably the most likely scenario where you will actually lose buildings. For most people, it'll just be annoying with microtransactions. They'll eventually get a win on the first try, so there aren't any really bad commanders here. In fact, the lowest rating I've given is B, and the way I ranked it is if the commander is not at all affected by microtransactions, and by affected I mean either their army is too expensive that you can't afford enough with microtransactions, or their hero isn't quite strong enough to power on their own. So that's what'll determine if they're not S. Another thing that will put them a tier lower than, well, A, is if their defenses also aren't strong enough to cover all the ramps in case their ally's truck is out of position, or if they just really hate it when the ground is on fire. So anyway, Abathur is A not because he cares too much about the ground being on fire or his units costing more, but a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, so half point from each of them will put him down to A tier. Don't get me wrong, like we said before, S is really easy, A is really good, but you have to work a little bit. B is fine, you can still contribute most of the work, but not quite do everything in a still relatively don't care what your ally does fashion. So, like I said, Abathur can have defenses cover the lanes primarily via burrowed swarm hosts and toxic nests, and spore crawlers, of course. That being said, mid-game can be a little bit annoying when you only have a couple ultimate evolutions, and before you get your swarm host and viper army ready. That being said, once you do get them ready, it'll once again be really easy. So, strong early game, kinda iffy early mid-game, and then the rest of the way is just really good. So that's A tier. Really good, but you kinda have to watch out for the early mid-game problems. Alarak I don't feel has such problems because what I would do is just rally all my gateways and robos, I guess. Yeah, I would just mostly do gateways, but you can add robos as well because gas units are pretty expensive. But that being said, you can totally just do that. Rally all your production structures to Alarak and also have your mothership follow Alarak. He'll just be the single unit you have in your control group. Assign one control group for Alarak and just control him. Make sure he has supplicants following so that he just consumes the supplicants instead of your mothership or your wrathwalkers. I don't recommend ascendants here. They can be really good, but their role kind of overlaps with Alarak's, and that is getting rid of Zerglings and just throwing them away from where they would otherwise set the ground on fire. Yeah, I would prefer Wrathwalkers here for heavy single target damage over Ascendants. That being said, like I said, it's still really easy. You just right-click your stuff on Alarak, and then they will just kind of auto-attack, and then just deal pretty good damage. For defense, you can just have a couple cannons and overcharge. They'll take care of anything that your ally forgets. That's why he's S tier for me this week. Third prestige. For Abathur, no prestige or second prestige. Arcturus for me is good. Really good even. Earth splitters in your base. You can eventually clear out the bases and then inch your trucks forward. They can be annoyed a little bit, especially when they get surrounded by Zerglings and you don't quite target the Earth splitters or they don't quite destroy the Zerglings fast enough. Yeah, it can get annoying a little bit. That being said, you can't just choose to ignore that and just go for full Earth splitters and just keep sending the truck over and over again. Bunkers at the ramps, you'll be fine. Still A tier. third prestige should be good. You can go first prestige or no prestige if you want. I just think third prestige will give you cheaper guys in the bunkers. So yes, A tier. Oh, A tier. Artanis gets you that really fast expansion alongside Karax, of course. And that will only work if both you and your ally are aware that the strategy is possible. So you run your truck straight north to the construct guarding the expansion, and your ally has to run their truck right about the same time, give or take 1 to 3 seconds of you sending a truck up. Your ally also has to start sending their truck up so that you can drop your Archon dudes and destroy the constructs guarding the first objective, aka the expansion. But after that, it's going to be just Tempests. You can have your Tempest group following a single Tempest. You can also do Zealots with your spare minerals if you have any. I imagine you'll still have spare minerals for Zealots, because what else are you going to spend your minerals on? Cannons? I guess you can keep cannons at your ramps. 3 to 5 with Orbital Strike? No, I would rather not use Orbital Strike on the cannons. Maybe warp in a couple of Zealots to supplement the cannons in case your ally leaves their truck on the other ramp for the attack waves to come in. Soul Bombardment, Shield Overcharge, Archon dudes to push should be still pretty good. That being said, not quite Abathur good, because the Tempests sometimes overshoot and over-destroy single targets, which means the Zerglings will absolutely have a field day with your trucks. By Zerglings, I mean the ones that drop in from the sky to attack your truck waves, or your truck. So that leaves them still pretty good. B tier good, I would say. Tempest still can lose, and you can absolutely run out of money for Zealots, especially if you do a lot of all-armying. You will quickly run out of money for a Tempest and Zealots. So that being said, if you are careful, you can totally still do it with Artanis. That's why they're still B. Prestige third is probably the way to go, because you want those Archon dudes. Dehaka, he has, well, Pack Eaters, he has Creeper Hosts, you can even do Tyrannosaurs if you really want to. All you have to do is follow Dehaka. You can also use Pack Eaters, should be fine. For the Rams, you can put an Impaler and a Primal Worm, or you can just Deep Tunnel Dehaka right there to take care of the problem. No big deal. S tier for Dehaka. Prestige, second prestige, no prestige, whatever prestige you want, they'll all be S tier just fine. Moving on, Fenix is also really good here. What you do is put your army at the ramps, and then just send Kaldi, maybe Warbringer, a couple anti-air champions. You will spend money, but all you really have to do is produce units. It's an option to just do the same thing as what you did for Alarak, just keep your gateways as gateways rather than warp gates, and then just rally everything at the ramp, and then send your champions one at a time, so that you're only spending microtransactions on production and sending your champions instead of your entire army. The army, or the shell farm rather, will just defend the ramp from attack waves and stuff, and that way you'll be pretty cost effective. Still, yeah, I would say still pretty good. A tier. S tier? No, I guess A tier is fine. We'll see, but I think A tier for now is fine for Fenix. Very strong. Not quite on the same level as Dehaka and Alarak, because Distraction Waves is really good for keeping away the Zerglings and the small stuff from the trucks. And Empower Me is a much better anchor, alongside the Mothership, of course. And also, Structure Overcharge is a really reliable defensive mechanism. That being said, the shell farm is still pretty good. It's just you have to macro to get the shell farm instead of just, hey, I have a building here, click, good defense. Second prestige for Fenix. Hanan Horner, defense is probably the shakiest out of all of them, because her only static defense structure is the missile turret. That being said, you can totally supplement that with mag mines. You still have to go first prestige here so that you're cost efficient with your air strikers. You can leave widow mines because they will just destroy the Zerglings right about as well as most other. The enemies are stronger, so widow mines should be fine for attack waves that are spaced 1 or 2 minutes apart from each other. It should be fine. That being said, they are very army based. Your best value gaining mechanic is the Air Striker, so get 10 of them, you'll do fine. Good even. And good is B tier. Prestige wise, first prestige, so that you get your Magmites to actually hit stuff. If you use other prestiges, I'm not trying to say that the third prestige won't work here. It's just that the Magmites will have a much easier time connecting with their target if you go first prestige, as opposed to going third prestige. So yes, first prestige for Han and Horner, who will go in B tier. Again, not bad. You can put Magmites and Widow Mines and turret for defense. Karax, well, he is army based, but you can totally just go for the Spear of Voodoo strategy. You can send your truck, inch it forward, and just shoot down the constructs. You can maybe afford a couple units once you get your cannon line at the ramps ready. For Karax, do not fully block the ramps. It is possible to actually fully block the ramps so that your truck is unable to pass through. That's such a goofy design, but hey, it do be like that sometimes. But anyway, for Karax, your primary microtransactions get arounding mechanic. Is that a word? It is a word now. Your primary mechanic to get around microtransactions is the Spear of Voodoo. That being said, it still costs 10 minerals per shot. I do believe it is 10 minerals per shot for the Spear of Voodoo. But it's 10 minerals, 0 gas, so you can probably still get a supporter carriers if you want to. Or just spend whatever minerals you have on Zealots or the Sentinels. It'll still be fine. Fine enough for A tier even. I think the Spear of Voodoo is stronger than what Artanis can muster up. Certainly the defense will be stronger than what Artanis can muster up. The ability to stop the Zerging waves for Karax, I think, is also stronger because Solar Lance is really good, and your Sentinels have double life as opposed to Zealots with a single life, especially if you don't go for the third prestige. You will still get Garden Shell, but Garden Shell is just a much weaker version of the reconstruction of Karax's Sentinels, which will put him in A tier. Karax, that is in A tier. And yes, the fast expand, by the way, let me just mention, the fast expand from Karax is really good because it just shoots the constructs directly and allows you to get the expansion within like 1 minute. It's that great. Totally recommend it if you and your ally are going in a pre-made team. Kerrigan, as you've seen in my video, is basically immobilization wave. If you can get enough money to afford Dude Lords, great. That'll make this a lot easier. But you really don't need much more than Kerrigan and a couple of Omega Orbs to rush back to the base in case you need to defend it. Do not lose Kerrigan. I would have said... Actually, no. I was about to say I would have said S tier, but like, you really shouldn't lose Kerrigan. I think he's good enough for S tier. Because as long as you don't lose Kerrigan, one immobilization will clear most of the bases. And as long as you use the immobilization wave every time it comes off cooldown and you get the ability efficiency upgrade, you will be able to just clear out most of the bases with a single click, really. And just mop up the rest with whatever you or your ally can muster up. And it's really that easy. Prestige, no prestige, I find is pretty good here. No, not first. You want Omega Worms. Second prestige is fine, but you really want the immobilization wave. So no prestige or third prestige is what I would recommend for Kerrigan, because you want the immobilization wave to destroy the small units. The second prestige will not have a strong enough immobilization wave to destroy the small units. Or at least the medium-sized units, I should say. Nova, third prestige, sneaky, drop sabotage drone, drop nuki, defend with siege tanks and liberators and Raven turrets if you really want to. It's S tier, very simple. Third prestige, just sneak Nova in, clear stuff. You can have 2 liberators, 4 if you really want to be crazy about it, to snipe the constructs and big units. But again, for the rest, it's just Nova, sneaking in, destroying all the small stuff. A lot of the big stuff even. So yeah, S tier, third prestige. Raynor, bunkers are pretty good. The Hyperion can do a lot of work. It's really annoying though. You can totally go fire butts for guarding the trucks if you want to, but I can see him having as annoying of a time. Not saying he can't win this again. I didn't place anyone below B, which is by the way where I put Raynor. I don't think anyone's below B, but B tier can get pretty annoyed by this mutator, especially with microtransactions, and Raynor is a fully army-based commander. His only way to gain value over time is by just using the Hyperion every time it's off cooldown. That being said, bunkers are really good. You can just hold the ramps and never get breached, even if your ally leaves his truck on the other side of the map. And the ally controlling the truck is a whole other thing that every commander is subject to, so I'm not going to judge based off of that. Prestige-wise, I think any prestige will get him in B, except maybe first one. Even the first one doesn't. He's in B because he has bunkers in the Hyperion to clear out with his whatever army he gets. Probably battlecruisers mopping up. I don't think the first prestige stops him from getting battlecruisers, so it will still be B, regardless of what prestige you use. Stet Boy, hey, Super Gary. Lurkers, Green Zone, S tier. Very simple. Second prestige. Stukov, yeah, also S tier. Bunkers. And you can just keep sending your guys. And if you get attacked from the other side, infrastructure. Done deal. Top bar is also really good. Alexander will destroy, mind control. The annoying is like carriers, battlecruisers, vipers, void race. And then the Apocalypse will take care of the rest. Or at least tank for your infested to take care of the rest. What I would like to recommend for Stukov is always fly your overlords in the direction where you want to spread your creep so that it spreads there. The thing with Stukov is you spawn on the center of the map, so the creep spreads evenly in all directions. If you want to direct your creep, you should send your overlords not too far out, but just guide them with the auto spread creep, with the poop creep option switched on, so that they will just guide where the creep spreads to. Still S tier, I think. He is army based, but his army is mostly free. You mostly spend on the bunkers. And I have not seen anyone outside of my recording allies. Stukov players go above 60 APM, so you should have plenty of money for this mutation. Swann, he's kind of like Karax in this mutation. He also has static defense. He also clears with top bar, aka the concentrated beam, pulse cannon, and just the basic laser drill. He'll do a pretty decent job even. You can use money for, I'm tempted to say rates, but they are pretty micro intensive unit. That being said, they'll still totally work fine. You can also go for the old Mass Goliath if you can afford it. It'll probably be mostly laser drill. If you can get a Hercules with 8 siege tanks, that's a classic way to play. I'm not sure if people still remember how to play that, but yeah, you can totally just go laser drill and just a mop-up force of a Hercules with siege tanks. Maybe Hellbutts if you want. That'll probably clip the Zerglings, but if you go Hellbutts, you'll need something behind it. Maybe Thors or siege tanks, something like that. Those will work fine. Rates, totally doable, but I can't guarantee that he'll get a proper army at a reasonable time if you go for rates, because like I said, they're a very micro-intensive army. So that's still A, because like I said, he's like Karax. He'll be slightly inconvenienced by the microtransactions just stopping him from getting a large enough army to push at a reasonable time. The laser drill, yes, pretty good, but it'll be really slow, and if you don't play well enough, you might be behind on the proper timings, and you might run out of time for the constructs. Tychus, hey, S tier. Come on, Outlaws, just destroy the opposition. You can even have Cirrus guarding the ramp, and Crooked Sam guarding another ramp. or Nux. Yeah, really easy. No, I see no problem with Tychus. S tier, second prestige. Vorazun, army-based commander. Cadence will work. The thing with Vorazun is you're mostly waiting for time stop. Just drop your shutter. You third prestige, by the way. Vorazun and one prestige, her one prestige have one strategy. Keep spamming Shadow Guard, and when time stop is available, drop it, clear as much as you can, and ideally, what army you have left will be just for cleanup duty. And that's still good enough for B tier, I think. You'll still get the job done. It's just annoying because your stuff are constantly under fire, and any click you do will mean that you have less money to produce more units. That's why, yeah, it's B tier. Still very doable. You can still carry very reasonably. It's just that it's, not A, not S. Zagara, Tutu in the previous video said he was able to a no mining challenge. So I tried it myself. I got pretty far. I'm not as good as Tutu. I got pretty far against Terran Bio. I got in trouble because for the last base, the base there is guarded by Battlecruiser Liberators, and Banshees. So I don't know how Tutu was able to do no mining against Banshees. I might have to look it up, but for you guys, totally make Overseers. I had bile launchers guarding the bottom entrances. Just point them there. For the first two bases, the free Banelings were more than enough to guard the ramps, while Zagara, the hero, goes out on a rampage with the trucks. I just needed the bile launchers at the bottom ramp so I can use the free Banelings and Scourge. Scourge are not free if you go for third prestige, which is, by the way, my recommendation. Zagara third prestige, go to B tier because you need Overseers to see cloaked units, aka Banshees, and you need Scourge for capital ships, and you need the free Banelings to just make your push much more potent without taking so much time. And Zeratul, Cannon's good, Demote Dude good, Legion good, Hero good, so S tier. Yeah, straightforward. Now, in terms of rankings, top of S, no double S tier this. Oh, actually, maybe I should put a double S tier this week. As easy as regular brutal. If there is a contender for double S tier, it's probably Tychus. This mutation is really easy with Tychus. You play almost normally. The only difference is you have fewer resources because of microtransactions, so your timings aren't quite the same as they would be in a regular brutal. So top of S tier is still pretty good for Tychus. Next is Stet Boy. Green Zone will keep stuff alive longer than they should, and lurkers at the ramps will prevent any Zerglings from getting in, so you should be fine in that regard also. Next is Zeratul, because, like I said before, Cadence good, Demote Dude good, Hero good, Legion good, really good. Next is Immobilization Wave. I know that I got outkilled in that game as Kerrigan, but I felt like it was really stable, and I was kind of being chill mode about it, actually. Also, maybe I think I lost Kerrigan at one fight. Yeah, I think it was also at the last base. I lost Kerrigan before I was able to do the immobilization wave. That's why I didn't quite have as many kills. That being said, I still felt really in control as Kerrigan. I didn't even go for units back then. So yeah, it's pretty nice for where she would be. Dehaka? Actually, maybe Dehaka should be with Kerrigan. Because no, Dehaka doesn't have mobilization wave. Just clears out large swaths of the map. Not SWATs, entire bases where the entire objective areas even. Yeah, I think Kerrigan's just S tier, or rather, Kerrigan's slightly higher than Dehaka for this week. Then Alarak or Stukov. I actually like Alarak more because again he can just push the army out, and at home it's just one click and your defense is all good. Compared to, well, yeah, you still need to macro for these two. Oh, that being said, single click also could work, but the doodlings are less robust than the structure overcharge. So yeah, I think I will keep Alarak there. And Nova, yeah. Actually, Nova's nuke is probably as potent as Kerrigan's immobilization wave, and it comes up, and it comes online a lot earlier. That being said, Kerrigan is just a more solid all-around fighter. In terms of mobility, Kerrigan is just more mobile. I know that airlift only costs minerals, but in the long run, the worms themselves are free. So I would still say that Kerrigan's mobility is better than Nova's. So Kerrigan blonder than Nova this week. How about Alarak? Is Nova better than Alarak? One click defense favors Alarak. Instant or huge nuke favors Kerrigan. That being said, the distraction wave just makes your trucks Zergling proof. Something that Nova can't quite say when she goes third prestige. So yeah, Alarak does go above Nova. And finally Stukov doesn't have a huge nuke, so he stays at bottom F, which is still really good by the way. Bottom of S is still S. Top of A, Abathur or Fenix. I like Fenix actually because you do have a shell farm. That's just auto guarding the ramp. And it is a lot easier to buy a Caldalis than a Swarm Host. And you don't need to biomass up the Swarm Host before it's effective. So, yeah, I think I would give it to Phoenix. He's slightly easier than Abathur. Vipers are really good. Leviathans are really good. But the best ability sometimes is availability. So I would slightly edge out Phoenix here. Next is Arcturus because Earth Splitters. I might actually put Swann above Karax because the laser drill does keep shooting regardless of whether you click or not. So yeah, it still does damage even without you clicking it. So you can just focus your efforts on building whatever army you want. Yeah, I think Swann's better than Karax this week. Top of B, Zagara. It was really good. I tried Zagara. It was really good. Didn't quite get it off in one attempt. Second attempt got it. But the air base for last with Liberators, Banshees, and Battlecruisers was... Well, it required a lot of Scourge. Let's put it that way. Raynor next because Hyperion is a good answer for those. And then, well, Hot and Horror is the bottom because her defense is the worst. She doesn't have static defense. And she does... Amon isn't quite on a timer like he is with... Actually, now that I think about it, is Vorazun better than Artanis? Because you're just waiting on time stop. Yeah, Vorazun's better than Artanis. Actually, is Vorazun better than Raynor? No, Dark Templar are really expensive, gas-wise. Yeah, I think this is right about where I would finalize the list. Alright, comment down below. Which guys do you think don't belong where I put them? It is 1 a.m. in Manila, and you guys can probably do better than 1 a.m. A 1 a.m. me? Or maybe not. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I didn't put anyone below B tier because I think this is a really simple mutation. On a more difficult mutation, I'm more than willing to put guys in D tier and below. In fact, I have done that before. This is just not one of those times. The tiers are for the performance of a commander in a mutation, and it's supposed to translate well across mutations rather than for a specific mutation. I'm not curving this to fit this mutation in particular, but to be a gauge, because an S tier in this list is supposed to be translatable to an S tier in a different mutation. That's what the intention is. But hey, if something doesn't line up, or if there's a strategy that I failed to account for, or a challenge that I didn't quite think of, you know what to do. I'll see you guys next. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else you do, please leave it in the comment. I will see you guys next time.